Welcome to Men, Sex, and Tantra.
Discover what your parents, porn, and religion never taught you about being a man and having extraordinary sex. Get ready to have your mind blown and your world rocked. Let me take this moment to thank, yes, Men, Sex, and Tantra. Sometimes I forget what show that I'm actually on. I am somebody who used to get interviewed probably 20 times a week. And so I frequently have to think only what am I doing right now, but also when my person who's interviewing me, and all of a sudden I forget what we're even talking about, which is totally uncool, right? Just keep notes or something, Tanya. Come on, get real. All right, I have a fantastic new guest with me today, Lukasz, and he's going to introduce himself, and we've got some interesting topics to talk about, of course. As you know, I usually spend 4 episodes with each of my guests so we can dig deep into some of the ideas and interests that we have bring to the table. Sometimes you hear things that are similar. Sometimes you hear things in a different way. But what we all know about human nature is that you can hear something, and you guys have called me and said this, you can hear something the first time and go, hear it the second and go, oh, yeah, I've heard that. Hear the third and go, yeah, no, you talked about that. And all of a sudden, the fourth time you go, holy crap, wow, I get it. And things change. So I'm not afraid to tackle the same subjects, and you may hear some of the same things over and over again because you hear them in a different way from a different person, and sometimes they finally land when they're supposed to. So that's why I don't curate and get really like, oh, we talked about that before, because everybody's different. So welcome, Lukasz. Tell us a little bit about you.
Hello, everyone. So yes, my name is Łukasz in Polish. I'm from Poland. I'm a body worker. I do body energy work. I do actually shamanic energy work based on connection to the senses, sensuality, stimulating body and senses in order to connect people within themselves, within their true nature. I'm very passionate about energetics of life in general, intimacy, of course, Tantra, breathing techniques, meditation, a lot of astrology, human design, and all those fuzzy topics. I enjoy working with relationships. This is my passion, actually, to be able to connect people deeper within themselves on an individual level, and of course that then reflects into the relationship and how we relate with others. This is a beautiful topic right now for these eclipses in Aries Libra axis, where it's all about who am I, what do I want, and what is me, my perception of myself, how I want to be treated, what I want to create, and then how that reflects in that connection with others, how we create healthy boundaries based on who we are. So yes, I also love what you said about the 3-4 times repeating certain topics, because it's what fires together, wires together, fires together in a subconscious perceptions, sometimes from NLP even techniques and neuro-linguistic programming. When something is repeated one time, is recorded but in the back of the mind, second time brought into the awareness, third time is actually in that physical reality, and the fourth time is created as a reinforced pattern. So that's how we do it. Sometimes we have to hear things a couple of times to really connect to it and really hear it.
Yeah, I mean, all of us would know that in relationship. It's like how many times somebody has to tell you something they don't like or do like, and how many times it takes to reinforce that. But this is not so, because we're not visual. I always get those questions from people, like they always wonder, like, what do these people look like? And what is that? That's such an interesting thing. I don't know what it is, but there seems to be like some hidden message in water that my male guests are always really attractive. I don't know what it is. It's not me. I don't go out.
No, I feel flattered. Thank you so much.
Don't go out and pick them. So just letting you know, hey, here's
They pick you. Hey,
another
that's a good
attractive
thing.
Another attractive man.
Frequency attracts frequency, right?
Oh,
So here
well,
we
I love
are.
that. I love that. So I have the frequency of an attractive man. I love that. Okay, so, and you've got some really super cool tattoos that are going on. Yep,
They
absolutely.
are all over the place,
Yeah.
well distributed. Sometimes I forget about them, where they are placed. You know, I look in the mirror and I realize that, oh my gosh, there is one that I forgot about. And, and it seems like, you know, I get a lot of actually compliment about it. Compliments. People look at them and they feel attracted to them, and I kind of know why, because each of them is very personal to me, and they all have this engraved message behind, and it's very deep message in every single one. So, you know, that changes your vibration too. Whatever we put on the body or on the paper in writing, especially on the body, has a specific frequency that then we carry with us. So
That's an interesting, so this is an interesting topic that we didn't even know we were
we
going to talk
could
about.
go into that.
I
Yes, I
know
love that
because,
topic.
yeah, I remember my first tattoo, I was 30. So we're talking, 32 years ago. And 32 years ago, women were not that tattooed. You just didn't see a lot of women with all the tattoos that you see today. And mine is on my inner ankle. My inner left ankle was my first tattoo. And I remember sitting, it was springtime, sitting in a skirt, on an outside kind of cafe here in Seattle, right? And the amount of men that would walk by, catch the edge of the tattoo, right? And then kind of like stop and look was insane, like insane, because this was not something where I lived, where you were seeing tattoos on women like that. Now, this happened to be a tattoo where I was like, oh, my first tattoo's got to be a little bit badass. So I have a screaming Mohawk skull that says no guts, no glory on it. So it could have been that juxtaposition of the skirt and that as well. I don't know. But that was my first tattoo, designed also to, my mother was dying at the time, and I wanted to spark her because I knew that she wouldn't like that. What was your first tattoo? Oh, looks like I've actually lost him. You're muted. Somehow you've gone mute and I've lost you. Lost your video.
Okay.
There you are. Whoop, still
It
back.
was funny because I lost you for a couple of seconds. I was talking to you about this Mercury retrograde, fuzzy
There you
things in
go.
connection. You
There you
see?
go. Yeah,
Uh,
so my first tattoo was a little badass, and maybe that was the juxtaposition of why it was that everybody was looking at it, because I was also going through my more wearing skirt feminine stage of dress. So it could have been that, who knows? But energetically interesting then to think, what is that all about, right? But what was
it's
your
got a lot of masculine energy, right? And you put it on the left side of
yeah.
your left ankle, and ankle actually in shamanism is represents how flexible you are in changing direction in life.
So yeah, it's the
Um,
inside of my left ankle.
uh-huh. That's
So
the feminine side, how you feel about direction, moving towards specific direction in life, and then the masculine put in there. It's just like, okay, how you put it in action. We might talk a little about polarities and stuff.
awesome.
I like, when it comes to body placements, the messages and all of that, everything has specific energy to it.
All right. So I
And
didn't blow that. I didn't blow that too much by putting that there on the inside of that angle. Is that like creating some more alignment, like a fusion of the masculine, feminine? Because that's typically what
I
it.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally, totally.
What was your first one?
Mine was actually on my stomach,
Wow, that's a
close
big
to
place to go first time.
a sacral. Well, that was actually a very interesting story because you had your own first when you were 30. I had my first when I was 18, when I just turned 18, and the the moment I could do it, and decide on my own, right? That's
Yeah.
18 because they were not allowing to I don't know how is it now, but back in the days where I used to live, the tattoo studios were not allowed to
Yeah.
tattoo someone who is not 18 or up.
Yeah.
Uh, so when I could do it, I just decided to do it, and I was at that time thinking about the placement that I could easily cover
Mm.
to not to be seen that much, right? And it's very related. It's very small too. So I started small. The second one was actually my biggest one. So that's funny. When I tested the waters, I was like, okay, let's go all the way in. Um, not huge. All of my tattoos are not like, covering my whole body. If you guys go to my Instagram, you can look into it. You
There you
probably will
go.
see that.
If you're like, wait, what are these tattoos? I don't have an
Yeah.
Instagram with all my tattoos, just saying, but we're gonna see Lucas's.
So this one on the stomach was just representing this, I guess, a flow in life, and that a little yin and yang, but it's not a yin and yang shape. It's just this water sort of bubble shape.
Mm,
Um, it was represent. I just saw it, and it was representing to me that flow in life, which I'm all about, like go with the flow. Same as doing this tattoo, just
yeah,
like go with the flow. I have
yeah,
an idea and I want to execute it and just see how it goes.
yeah.
Test it.
And it's funny, you
Yeah.
were hiding your first one. I wanted mine somewhere. So all my tattoos are where I can see them. There, so
Mm,
right, so and considering the fact that I know that skin gets looser when we get older. People, because people always said back then when very few people were getting tattoos, everybody said to me, "Oh my God, what happens when you don't like this when you're 60?"
that's like my aunt.
Right? Everybody's always like, "What happens?" Well, so I used to come up with things like, "Well, what happens if there's a meteor hits and I lose my left leg and my tattoo is gone forever?" So I would pose those type of questions. But so all mine are from my elbow to my wrists. I've got the one on
Hmm.
the outside and one, I've got a phoenix on the outside of the screaming skull on my ankle. And then the rest of them
Transformation.
are all elbow down on both my hands, including the outsides of my hands, that's the most
Uh-huh.
part I've had is
That's
the edges.
interesting because most of mine are actually
Right.
hands related too.
That's why I was saying that. It's
Um,
like, so I'm one of those people that, no, 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 I have to have a tattoo where I can see it, right? Because even though I would love to have some on my back, I can't, like, I don't want to get a mirror out and have to look at my tattoos. So they're for me.
I
And
I do have
now I
I
have,
do have some there too.
yeah, I think I have 17 now. But
Oh wow.
well, they get crazy, right? Because once you break that one tattoo, it's pretty hard to not get more. Now, I'm a pain
That's
wuss.
true.
My skin is super sensitive. I cry when I get tattoos. They all laugh at me when I go to get a tattoo, even if they're tiny. I'm like, "Ah." Until
Mm,
just recently, they came out with tattoo numbing cream.
I
Ah,
always check ingredients.
tattoo numbing cream that are made for tattoos specifically. Oh,
I just,
Nirvana.
I'm the guy that I go through the pain.
Yes, most people do.
Most of the time it's actually this pain, pleasure
Oh,
type of
yeah.
sensation for me. But I have to say, it's also interesting fact that the ones that I did that represented, for example, family
Mm-hmm.
connections or, the message behind it or an ancestry were the most painful.
Oh,
So that was the bigger healing probably for me.
so in talking about this, these guys are thinking like, what the hell do we care about your tattoos? Why are we having this conversation was because you said something really interesting and you just said it again. Can tattoos be actual, like when we think about the energy of the tattoo and where we're placing it, the fact that we're marking our bodies,
Hmm.
is representative. What are we saying? Are we, I don't know about you, but you have a lot of knowledge behind it, like what, side and this and what all this represents, right? So you bring that kind of knowledge in when you're doing a tattoo. For me, I'm like, where do I
Intuitive.
feel that
Mm-hmm.
tattoo on my body? And I'm wondering, did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? Did I put something somewhere on my body that, like, when, I've double pierced my right nose?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a good idea or not when it comes to acupressure, when it comes to
Uh-huh,
energetics,
yes.
when it comes to why my right side of my nose? Why did that feel like the
So
side, not the left?
So, I see it from this perspective. There are two angles of viewing at it. One is the logical perspective when you understand what you're doing, where you're putting it, and what is the energy behind the placement and the message and so on, which is more logical. It's more masculine, right? Plan of action, logic, information. And then there's the feminine perspective of it when you connect your intuition and you go with the flow of the feeling. So you connect with your feeling. Okay, I feel like this tattoo should be on this side and inside my ankle and whatever. And I want it to I want this particular um, message there, or this particular spot in my body to be pierced, regardless what it represents when it comes to acupuncture.
All right.
Some people will go into that, oh, this is a meridian point and affects this and this energy and so on. But at the same time, life is intuitive. So even when I would say, I would compare it to that. If I would do body work and I understand the meridians and the energy channels and so on, the points, blah, 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 there's nothing more powerful than tapping into the moment and just flowing with it and intuitively starting working on specific points in specific way, in the way that you feel it.
Yeah.
So as much as we bring the physical, the logical mind, the mind is always limited in certain ways. It's always polarized in nature. It's between the yes and no, and then start questioning, and did I do the right or should I maybe change it, or I would like to go back in time and do
Yeah.
something else. To me, there are no mistakes. When it comes to energy, energetics of life, there are no mistakes. So
Yeah.
however it's happened to someone, it meant to happen. If there's something else that needs to cover it later on, or some different idea comes later on, let's just do it. Um, so life is like that. Life is about manifesting itself in a perpetual motion. So in here and now, we choose we tap within the information that is available to us, and we choose the best possible alignment for us. Either we feel it, we think about it, or both. Think and feel, because it's the feminine, masculine, then balance, right? And we decide to do it. We decide to do what brings us the most joy, at the moment, what works the best for us.
I'm laughing. I'm
And
laughing because I'm thinking of people whose tattoo artists make mistakes.
that's meant to be too.
People who spell things completely wrong, who had this cool idea, but now it's spelt wrong. And I'm thinking, what is that saying about that energetic flow there, and that they're supposed to be wearing the spirit spelt, some wrong way, or like, faith spelt wrong, or people who
I
tattoo their
think so.
on their body and then later break up, like, well, so, but you did say, if the
I
time has
think
come
so.
to change it
Well,
or
then you can
whatever.
look at it from perspective of it's my past experience, and so then we come into this point of gratitude and acceptance, right?
Yeah.
For everything that has been and is. From that gratitude and acceptance, then we can create. But without this being put at place first, yes, I'm grateful for everything that I experienced and I accept everything that is. There's no possibility of creating if we don't do that first.
Right. All right. So for
Um,
all you guys out there that are looking at your tattoo going, wow, okay, yeah, that was a mistake when I had it. So now I guess we can take that as an energetic experience of what you're saying is gratitude and acceptance of what was, and then
if you
decide,
want to cover it up
yeah,
with
and then
something
just,
else.
yeah, and then deciding if if you want to evolve it. And that's all we're doing all through life is evolving. There's only one tattoo I have on my body. Well, two tattoos that I have that I would evoke a change. One, I got in a grass hut in Tahiti at midnight.
I'm liking the story.
I know, right? Scariest thing ever. I saw people with cool tattoos and I said, "Where'd you get them?" And they said, "That guy." So he came and got me at midnight. We walked through the jungle to his little hut. He grabs my arm, asked me what I want, and I said I wanted this dolphin, like more in like Polynesian style dolphin. And he goes, "Okay, that is the only conversation we had. I had been scuba diving all day. I hadn't taken a shower yet, which means, dead sea critters, right? Microbes, whatever." He grabs a shaver, he grabs this ink pen, he pours the ink pen into this little pot, like breaks open the ink, pours it from a Bic, pours it in the little pot, grabs the needle and the stick, grabs my arm and says, "We tattoo." Boom. And he's like, and I'm thinking, holy crap. Okay, well, so much for all those sanitation procedures that, sanitary procedures you get in the US. And I remember thinking when it was done, I thought, okay, this is super cool. Thank God I'm going home tomorrow because yes, within 24 hours, the thing was bright red. I had a minor infection. And the reason I would change it is because I actually get brown tattoos. I don't get black.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
so
cool.
this one is blue on the inside of my arm. So I don't like the color. I want it covered with darker, so it's brown like the rest of mine. But that is the only one that I would actually change, and it's a color thing, not
Just a color,
yeah, change it.
Reinforce it, make it more.
Yeah, make it darker. I'd rather have it darker than lighter. But and I got Save. I got Jupiter tattooed on my wealth meridian right here. And I did that about, I think it was 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. I want to tell you that's crazy what that did.
Brought prosperity into your life.
It was
Or
almost
expanded something.
it was almost a 2-week turnaround from the time I got the tattoo to all of a sudden these crazy financial opportunities were just dropping into my lap. And so this was my most conscious, put it on a particular place with a particular mode.
You see the intention that creates too, right?
Yeah, and it's just been
Everything is
going ever
just an
since.
intention.
So
It's
so
funny.
that's
It's funny because like going further into the tattoos for a moment, I have a Jupiter tattoo as well.
there you go.
The symbol of the Jupiter,
Right.
which represents my, it's the ruler of my sign, Sagittarius. Yeah, I feel very connected to the energy. It's the expansion, it's the Santa Claus of the sky. So always brings you some gifts or incredible lessons of awareness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Expanding something.
That was funny. So, all right. Exploration of tattoos. Tattoos are really like they became really popular. So like I said, I was one of the few tattoo women out there that kind of men were like, "Ooh, okay, what's that? What's that all about?" Whatever. Some men totally turned off. Other men like, "Wow, I'm into this." Ultimately, my tattoos are for me, just like your tattoos are for you.
100%.
And I've been getting more aware of what
it's a spiritual surgery. That's what I call it.
A spiritual surgery?
That's how I call it, yes.
Oh, nice. Okay. So, given that your background of energetics and everything else, and you did give us a little bit of a moment there, which is if you're feeling into it, you can use your logic and feeling, but inevitably it's going to be the right thing. What can, we've got a couple of how-tos. Like, what do we want to leave the guys with contemplation and or some type of behavior regarding tattoos and energy? This is like something really we have not done
so
before.
like summarizing everything what we just said, definitely to have this awareness that whatever we put on the body, we change our energetics in a certain way. So whatever you want to do, I don't judge the designs, the message, whatever it is, it's meant to be for you, but just that awareness. I'm all about bringing more awareness of cause and effect, right? Energetically on the energetic level. So that's one. Second, if you want to investigate, let's just go quickly, left side being the feminine. So me personally, I, for example, put like my ancestry, all that represents some sort of emotional relationship to me, a feeling on my left side, the feminine. Unless you want to stimulate your feminine side more with that masculine energy, it all makes sense. It all,
Yeah.
all sort of connects. So left side, feminine side, right side, more masculine of that action. I, for example, have this um, Sagittarius arrow and moon on my right hand, which is kind of the balance of two. But I work with my hands energetically, so I always, pay attention to that too. Like, how is that going to reinforce the energy that flows through my hands? But yeah, everything has a message, everything has a meaning, everything has cause and effect, and everything affects everything. I would say that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, have fun with it, play with it. Either you want to take it in a logical way and investigate something related to what you want to do, that will bring you more awareness, or just really have a moment, sit with yourself, knowing that, okay, what I decide to do and what I'm engraving with that pain, going through that process, tattooing this on my body, changes or
Yeah.
create some sort of transformation on energetic level, because
Yeah.
everything is energy, everything is frequency.
I like that.
Um,
Okay, and I would like you guys to take that into consideration, but also to take a moment if you have tattoos and reflect on the reason, reflect on the time you got it, right?
that's beautiful.
Reflect on the reason that you got it, and does it still line up with who you are today? So if you got drunk tattooed, because so that we know that basically, and well, I can drop into the hidden messages of water for a moment, that basically, if you don't know, if you haven't read the hidden messages of water, you probably should. And it's about this scientist who basically found out that water reacts to messages that you send it. Like literally, this like sounds crazy town, but you can experiment at home if you want, where you take a little water in a petri dish or a dish, say I love you, give it great energy, put it in the freezer for 5 minutes, pull it out and hold it up to the light and look at the crystals, or say horrible things to it. I hate you, you're ugly, whatever, same thing. Freeze it, look at it, but read hidden messages of water, because we molecularly, by molecular weight, are 90%. We're 70% water, but by molecular weight, we're 99. And so the message is that you're wearing, which is a tattoo on your body, do indeed change what's going on with your body, as well as other people, how you influence other people from what they see. So for or against tattoo, that's not the point. The point is, if you haven't got a tattoo, think about the energy in what it is you're putting on. Is there a lot of anger? Is there a lot of hate? Is there a lot of
especially
negativity?
tattoo related to, as you mentioned before, exes, and how
Right.
we put the message out, or we put the name out of love, and then we broke
Yeah.
up, and that
Yeah.
creates that emotional
Right.
relationship to it. Well, heal
Yeah,
that emotion and heal that
absolutely.
relationship, even though it's not there anymore, it's past. Bring love into it if you want to carry that tattoo on your body as
Right. Or I was going to say, yeah. So
representation of that love,
don't get
that
rid of the
was.
tattoo if it has a negative connotation. You could do a ritual to actually change the way you're feeling. But either way, take a moment, look at your tattoos, look at each one, write down what it represented at the time. What kind of energy do you feel that it brings to your body? If it's negative energy, remember it is on your body. It is making a message on your body. Decide whether or not that's something you want to carry forward. If it isn't, then you could change that. You can either get rid of it or cover it or do something else, or even try a ritual in which you change the energetic connection you have to that visual and see if that works. But I think anything we're putting on our bodies, whether that's our tattoos, what are we wearing clothing wise and stuff like that. And you are talking to a woman who does watch Walking Dead, and wonder to myself, zombie murders. This is what I'm inputting into my body. And I'm about to do some experiments around that. So just so you know, I'm not like, oh, I only listen to high vibration, whatever. That's not true. That's not who I am. And I think that it's still worth checking out and looking at what that is. So, all right. Awesome. I love where this conversation went. We'll see what the guys do. I can't wait for you guys to tell me, like, oh, did you take a look then and decide, what does that mean? What's happening on my body? I'm going to go do some more of that. I was just looking at my tattoos while we were doing this talk. And right now I love them all. They all represent definitely something great about what I want to bring into my life. And I would not hesitate to change one if so. And we're going to be back because I think our next episode, I think we had talked about doing this, and I think this leads beautifully into the fairyland of
of the fairylands.
Yeah, so we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about the fairyland, and you're wondering what the heck is that about. Stay tuned for that, because if you're into Tantra and the Neo-Tantra world, anything into the spiritual world, and you've been diving into that, we're about to tell you some interesting things around that. And no, we're not literally talking about little Tinkerbells flying around, but it feels like that. So stay tuned. We'll be back for our next episode.